we'll hear your opening statement.
Members of the jury, this man's name is Jamie Robinson. For the past 10 years, he worked as an undercover officer with the Midlands State Police Department. But just last month, on March 18th, a news report revealed his identity. And less than 2 hours later, Officer Jamie Robinson was dead. And today we'll prove that the person who killed him was the defendant, Skylar Sinclair. You see, today you'll learn that on his last undercover investigation, Officer Robinson was investigating a drug ring that involved the defendant and his roommate, Alex Everett. And on the night the news report aired, when the defendant learned that Jamie Robinson was a cop, he panicked. He drove to the Midlands Marina to meet with Officer Robinson. He got there early and put on a ski mask. He opened his trunk, pulled out Alex Everett's baseball bat, and walked down a path towards the docks. A few moments later, Officer Robinson arrived. He walked down the same path. And as he stepped onto the docks, the defendant walked up behind him, lifted the bat, and swung. Officer Robinson stumbled, and the defendant swung again. Officer Jamie Robinson fell to the ground in a pool of his own blood. And that's why the defendant's been charged with first-degree murder. Today you'll learn that means we have the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant killed Jamie Robinson and that she did so as part of a premeditated plan. And that's exactly what we'll do today. We'll do it by asking you to follow the blood. To follow the blood evidence in this case from the place Officer Robinson was killed, the docks, to the bat the defendant used, and to the ski mask the defendant wore. So first, the docks. Our first witness today will be Officer Robinson's wife. She's also a police officer, and she'll tell you how on the night her husband died, she dropped him off for an undercover operation at the Midlands Marina. She'll tell you how that undercover operation involved the defendant, but that when she dropped her husband off, neither she nor Jamie knew that his identity had been revealed. And she'll bring us to the bat. Our second witness today will be a CSI named John Defoe. And Mr. Defoe will tell you how he found that bat in the woods near the Midlands Marina. He'll tell you how he found two people's blood on that bat. On the barrel, Jamie Robinson's. On the handle, the defendant's. So finally, the ski mask. Our final witness today will be a convenience store clerk who worked near the Midlands Marina. And he'll tell you how he saw the defendant put on a ski mask and walk down towards the docks before Jamie Robinson did. And you'll learn how the police later found that ski mask outside the defendant's apartment. And you'll learn how it had two people's blood on it. The defendant's and Jamie Robinson's. Members of the jury, today we're going to ask you to follow that blood. From the docks to the bat. From the bat to the mask. And from the mask straight to the defendant. And that's why we'll ask you to find Skylar Sinclair guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. We'll hear opening statements from the defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, opposing counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Everett. When Mr. Gupta got up to speak to you just a minute ago, that's a name that he only mentioned twice. And members of the jury, that's because the state doesn't want you to know who Alex Everett is. Members of the jury, when a devastating, infuriating tragedy like this strikes, it's understandable to want justice to be swift. But sometimes when we want justice fast, it can be easy to ignore the facts. What if I were to tell you that the killer was actually seen to be 6 feet tall, but Skylar Sinclair is only 5'9"? What if I were to tell you that the killer was seen walking with a limp, but Skylar doesn't? What if I were to tell you that the killer swung from right to left with a right-handed stance, but Skylar is a lefty? And members of the jury, what if I were to tell you that there's another person the state isn't telling you about that has the exact same motive, the exact same opportunity, who looks like Skylar but is 6 feet tall, has a limp, and is right-handed? Would that change things for you? They've got the wrong student, and they're telling the wrong story. Today you'll hear that the true story starts not with Skylar Sinclair, but with another college student, Skylar's roommate, someone named Alex Everett. The evidence will show that 1 year ago it was Alex, not Skylar, who decided that she wanted to start selling drugs for one of the most dangerous dealers in the state. You'll hear that it was Alex, not Skylar, who was the most involved and most invested in this operation. And so when Alex found out Officer James Robinson's real identity, it was Alex, not Skylar, who felt that she had to do something to solve the problem. And so, ladies and gentlemen, while an eyewitness will testify that Skylar Sinclair was miles away, the evidence will show that Alex Everett went to the marina because, ladies and gentlemen, you'll hear that Alex Everett is 6 feet tall. Alex Everett walked with a limp. Alex Everett is right-handed. Alex Everett fled the city the day after the murder, and members of the jury, Alex Everett even owned the murder weapon. They've got the wrong student, and they're telling the wrong story. Because members of the jury, the person sitting in this chair is not Alex Everett. Her name is Skylar Sinclair. And I'm not going to try to convince you that she's a model citizen, because she's not. She's made mistakes. She agreed to sell prescription drugs. But she will tell you for herself today that she is not a killer. And when she walked in through those courtroom doors, she was presumed to be innocent. What that means is that it's the state's job to prove that she actually murdered James Robinson beyond all reasonable doubt. So if at the end of today's trial you still have doubts, unanswered questions about the facts that just don't fit with the state's story, then you cannot take away her freedom. And members of the jury, there will be plenty of reasonable doubts, not just from Skylar herself, but from the two other witnesses that we'll call today to the stand. The first witness we'll call is actually the only eyewitness to the murder. And you'll actually notice that he doesn't want to help us. He wants to help the state, wants to help convict Skylar. But on the stand, he'll be forced to admit that the person he saw, the physical characteristics, they just don't match Skylar Sinclair. They match Alex Everett. And then you'll hear from our second witness, a classmate, that at the time they claimed this murder took place, that classmate saw Skylar, not at the marina, not killing anybody, at a concert for a class. They've got the wrong student. And at the end of today's trial, we'll ask you not to believe the wrong story. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sue.
Gupta with the opening
Hear the
statement for
state's
the
evidence.
University of Virginia. Follow
Yes,
the
Your Honor.
blood, the theme. Raymond
First,
Zhu with the
Mr. Zhu just said that Alex Everett fled the city. To begin our case in chief, we'd like to read Stipulation 5 onto the record.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Alex Everett is separately facing felony charges for Everett's alleged involvement with Skylar Sinclair's drug ring. Everett has exercised Everett's Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination.